שלום וברכה, שלום למורים, למנהלים שמשתתפים בתוכנית העצמה הרוחנית רוץ. אנחנו במפגש החמישי האחרון, המסכם והמעשי. איך לוקחים את כל העקרונות היפים ששמענו מלונדון, מוסקבה, ברזיל, לתוך הכיתות שלנו כאן בישראל. אנחנו פותחים בדברי פתיחה קצרצרים. נגיד אולי קודם כל שלום, hello, קובי אברהימוב, שלום שלום.
Hello, pleasure to meet you. Thank you for having me on the program.
We'll speak in a minute, but first, דברי פתיחה, קצרים. הרב, דוקטור, אברהם ליפשיץ, מנהל תכנית רוץ, בבקשה.
שלום לכל המנהלים, צוותי המורים והמחנכים שנמצאים בתוכנית העצמה רוחנית, ומרגש אותי לברך אתכם ולהתברך בכם, ונלמד פרק קצר, חלק מפרק בירושלמי, ונראה לאן נגיע איתו. הירושלמי שואל שאלה, איזהו רבו? מי נחשב, מה ההגדרה של רב? מי נחשב לרבו של תלמיד? היינו אומרים, מה זאת אומרת, מי שנכנס איתו לכיתה, מחנך י"א, מחנך ט', הוא רבו. אבל יש פה הגדרה עמוקה של איזהו רבו. יש מחלוקת משולשת. כל שפתח לו תחילה דברי רבי אליעזר. נראה כבר את כל הפרק. רבי יהודה אומר כל שרוב תלמודו ממנו, ורבי יהודה אומר כל שהאיר עיניו במשנתו אפילו בדבר אחד. מה פירוש של רבי אליעזר אומר שפתח, כל שפתח לו תחילה? אני אנסה לומר כיוון, למרות שאפשר אולי להרחיב בזה. כל שפתח לו תחילה פירושו של דבר, שיכול להיות שמישהו שלימד תלמיד, והעביר לו חומר, ולימד אותו את פרק א' ופרק ט"ז וגמרא, או להבדיל מקצוע אחר, אבל הוא לא פתח לו תחילה. לא פתח לו איזה פתח שהוא לא חשב עליו עד היום. לא פתח לו כיוון שהוא לא חשב עליו עד היום. לא פתח לו משהו לימודי שבלעדי המורה, הוא היה לומד באופן שגרתי עם עצמו, הוא לא מגיע לשום דבר. איזו פתיחה מחודשת, זה רבו. יכול להיות שאדם למד אצל 20 איש, או שנה שלמה אצל רב, או אצל מורה, ופתאום הייתה איזו פתיחה לדבר חדש, לנושא חדש, למשהו שהיה סגור בפני התלמיד, והנה לך כל שפתח לו תחילה. רבי יהודה אומר דבר לכאורה שגרתי, כל שרוב תלמודו ממנו. גם כאן ניתן לומר שזה לא רק שהוא לימד אותו הכי הרבה חומר, והוא המורה שלימד אותו 10 שעות ולא שעתיים, אלא אולי רוב תלמודו ממנו זה גם מיומנויות הלמידה, איך לומדים, איך נכון ללמוד, איך נכון להפנים את הלמידה. רוב תלמודו זה גם בכמות, אולי גם באיכות. זהו רבו. ואחרון, רבי יהודה אומר כל שהאיר במשנתו אפילו בדבר אחד. חשבתי, מה זאת אומרת כל שהאיר במשנתו אפילו דבר אחד? לא מדובר פה על גמרא מסובכת, ולא מדובר פה על איזה דברים חדשים שהוא למד אותם, אלא כל שהאיר במשנתו אפילו דבר אחד. אדם יכול ללמוד משנה, והוא לומד אותה כלאחר יד. הוא יודע לצטט אותה, הוא יודע אפילו לדקלם אותה, נגיד אותה בעל פה, אבל המשנה הזאת, או התורה הזאת, או ההערה הזאת, לא האיר בעיניו שום דבר. הוא נשאר כמו שהוא היה. אבל מורה, מי זה רבו? זה שלוקח את המשנה אחת או עוד אחת, ופתאום אורו עיניו, יש לו ברק בעיניים למורה, וברק בעיניים לתלמיד, והוא אומר לעצמו, וואו, קרה לי משהו, הפנמתי משהו, קרה דבר בתוך תוכי פנימה. אם כן, מחלוקת משולשת, מי זה רבו? אבל אולי גם לפי זה ניתן ללמוד, לא רק איך אנחנו יכולים להיות רבנים, או מורים, או מחנכים, או מנהלים, אלא גם ניתן ללמוד איך אנחנו יכולים להיות תלמידים. איזהו רבו, אבל גם איזהו תלמידו. מי זה התלמיד הגדול? ואנחנו פונים אל עצמנו, אל המנהלים ולמחנכים, כמי שפתוחים לתוכניות. אנחנו השנה בתוכנית של למידה, תוכניות בינלאומיות. ואני באתי לפתוח ולומר, בוא נהיה תלמידים טובים כשנפתחים לכל תוכנית. השנה זה התוכנית הזאת שאנחנו עוסקים בה כרגע ולומדים מארצות שונות וכו'. אבל זה בכל תוכנית. מי זה תלמיד? אני כתלמיד, אקח את איזהו רבו והפוך את זה לזהו תלמידו. מי זה התלמיד? כל מי שמחפש את הפתח להיכנס לאנשהו. אם אני תלמיד ואני שומע הרצאה ואני מתייחס לזה באופן חיצוני, אז לא קרה לי דבר. אבל אם אני מגיע כמישהו שמחפש את הפתח, לשים את הדלת, את הרגל, לפני שהדלת נסגרת ואני אומר, וואו, יש פה איזה דבר חדש שאני יכול להיכנס אליו. אני רוצה ללמוד דבר חדש, אני פתוח לדבר חדש, זהו תלמיד. והתלמיד השני של רבי יהודה, כל רוב תלמודו ממנו, בואו ננסה לחפש לא רק את הלמידה, את החומר, גם זה חשוב. הרמב"ם אומר, כדי להיות חכם צריך להיות תלמיד חכם, צריך לדעת הרבה חומר, אלא גם את מיומנויות הלמידה. אני נכנס לתוכנית חדשה ללמוד אותה, בואו נהיה פתוחים אליה. בואו נהיה פתוחים לנסות לראות את ההיקף, את הידע, אסוציאציות שזה זורק אותי אליהם. ואחרון, רבי יהודה, כל שעיר עיניו במשנתו. אז יש לי תפקיד כמורה להאיר את עיני התלמיד, אבל אני יכול כתלמיד לבוא למשנה שאני לומד אותה, לתוכנית שאני לומד אותה, למשהו חדש שאני נחשף אליו. אני יכול לשבת אדיש ולהגיד, אוקיי, הוא לא חידש לי, הוא כן חידש לי, דווקא מעניין, ואני יכול לרצות לגמוע ולהיות כלי קיבול שמקבל הרבה ופתוח לזה, ולהיות זה שרוצה שהמשנה שאני לומד תאיר בי, דבר גדול מאוד. ובאנו לברך את כל החבורה הנפלאה הזאת, של התוכנית המצוינת הזאת, בתוכניות שמוצאים לכם, מוצאים לנו, בואו נברך את עצמנו ונתברך להיות תלמידים טובים, גם על פי רבי אליעזר, גם על פי רבי יהודה, וגם להיות אלה כמו רבי יהודי שמחפשים שהלימוד יאיר בנו עולם חדש. בהצלחה רבה לכולם.
תודה לרב דוקטור אברהם ליפשיץ על הדברים, תודה על כל השנים שלו במערכת החינוך, ועכשיו שמענו הרבה כלים, הרבה רעיונות, איך מטמיעים את זה בתוך בית הספר. המחנך שנדבר איתו עכשיו פעיל גם בלונדון וגם בישראל, הוא חי על הקו ואנחנו נשמע ממנו גם על שם, גם על כאן. שלום, הרב קובי אברהימוב.
Hello, סיוון. It was a pleasure. Dr. Avraham Lifshitz earlier, a good friend and mentor. And, it was a pleasure really to have his words of inspiration with us today.
Now, where are you located now? Because I know you're all over the place, usually.
I arrived this morning and I'm in Israel now. I'm in King Solomon Primary School in Israel. And tomorrow we are going with years 7, 8, 9 and 10 on a tour of Northern England together with Bnei Akiva Manchester. We'll be visiting Manchester for Shabbat and then going to Liverpool, Lake District, Scotland, Glasgow, and back to London. So it's going to be...
Wow. I was a Beatles fan, so enjoy Liverpool. But anyway, you do two, I would say, two educational positions in both countries. Tell us about London and Israel. What exactly do you do?
So in the UK, I served for many years as a head teacher in the Independent Jewish Day School Academy. And I actually continued serving as a head teacher there as King Solomon was established. And from my perspective, when King Solomon was established, I only knew about very limited educational projects in Israel. And my understanding and feeling was that it will remain a very small school. And we'll talk a little bit later how the school grew and why it grew. But as King Solomon continued growing, developing and advancing, came a point where King Solomon was bigger than the Independent Jewish Day School Academy in London. It had 300 children in 2016-17. And at that point in time, we took the decision that I will step down as head teacher in the UK. I only serve as a head teacher here in King Solomon in Israel. And in the UK, I continue to work with schools, with United Synagogue Schools, responsible for curriculum, for youth programs, for tribe operations, which is about summer camps and all the informal education that takes place in United Synagogue schools over Shabbatot, Chagim, and summer holidays. So I have the strategic opportunity of working in the UK and also working here in King Solomon, Israel.
That's beautiful. The ability to enjoy you here and there. Your kids, they still go to school there, Hasmaniah. But tell us a little bit about King Solomon before we begin. I mean, we're not all familiar with that school. The teachers that are listening are from the Chemed, the Mamlachti, the T system, but you're something different.
Maybe a little bit different. And I suppose that this came as a surprise to me, as I said, when I started working in Israel, because when I came to Israel and I was introduced by a wonderful rabbi called Rabbi Netanel Simantov to the Israeli educational system, and that was when King Solomon was established 8 years ago. And I found that children in Israel need to choose between the religious system and a non-religious system, meaning that from a very young age, you will choose whether you are going to be educated as a religious Jew, as a non-religious Jew. And I believe that there are broad sectors in society that don't necessarily feel comfortable in either. And I also believe that in the non-religious sector, children and parents still want to live as proud Jews and still want to be part of Am Yisrael and Am Yisrael's not only past, but also future. And therefore, the model that we applied here in King Solomon School is very much similar to the one that is applied in the UK, meaning that we don't necessarily look at level of observance at home. Many of our parents would say that they don't categorize themselves as dati. Nevertheless, the school has a strong Limudei Kodesh program, as every child has in the UK, every Jewish child has in the UK, with the opportunity for tefillah and for limud Torah and for really the wealth of knowledge that Torat Israel and the Jewish library has to offer. I took a member of parliament from Israel, Chaver Knesset, for a tour many years ago. If I remember correctly, his name was Efi Etam. And we visited one of and he saw all the children davening mincha, and we davened mincha together, and they were all wearing kippot and tzitzit and praying, and it was very inspirational. And after that, we left school together with the children, and Burger King was full of these children. And he said, "What's going on? Is this a kosher Burger King?" I said, "No, it's not kosher at all. Don't eat there." He said, but they just went to mincha. How is that possible? Now, I'm not happy about children going into Burger King. That's not the point. The point is that no matter what their background is, they still have the opportunity for Jewish education. And that's something hugely lacking in our beautiful country in Israel. And I think it needs to be improved upon. And the last statistic I'll give you is that 42% of British children are educated in faith schools. Ask British people how many of them are Church of England or Roman Catholic. I suppose it will be under 1%. I don't know, but I suppose it will be very, very people who see themselves as part of the church. And yet, 42% of the population believe in faith as part of education. And that is something we can really learn from. That is something that we really need to apply strategically in our educational system.
Maybe it's easier abroad. You know, I visited so many Jewish schools in England and the States, and there's something about Jewish education there that is more important because there are Gentiles, I mean, non-Jews, the environment is so foreign, you want to be different. Even if you're not Dati, I remember Rosh Hashanah we spent in Leeds, okay? And the community in Leeds is really small, but on Rosh Hashanah, they all come, 1,000 people showed up to listen to the shofar, the way they blow the shofar, they listen to it, and they go back to work in the middle of the day. But they came because they're a part of that united synagogue system you created there. People, the majority is Orthodox, although they're not Dati, they belong to the Orthodox stream. And although they're not Dati, they send their kids to a Jewish school. What is the secret? Maybe it's, do you see it is something positive or something b'diavad because we live in Galut, so we have to do it?
So it does have its negatives, and the negatives are, I mean, as a child, I remember being part of United Synagogue, and the negatives are that it's generally not developing unless you go into the Haredi world, and the Haredi community in the UK is thriving, and that is a big challenge, meaning that you're stuck effectively where you are because you are so comfortable where you are, where it forces you into taking a direction and developing yourself one way or another. However, and there's a big however here, although it is a di'evad, although it isn't necessarily the best system in terms of offering Judaism to the community, it is a system we can learn from and apply some elements of. And I think that one of the biggest challenges is that in Israel, and it's not something that not you and I can change, but one of the biggest challenges is that there is an element of politics which is also not helping the situation. And the element of politics means that certain schools could sometimes be related to certain political parties. And if you're not part of that sector or that group, you may feel that you're not comfortable being part of that schooling system. And what we possibly do to change that, is to try as much as possible and wherever possible to create gray areas and to create common denominators. A common denominator could be, for example, if we are learning history, maybe, I don't know, I'm not a big expert in Israeli curriculum, but maybe we don't need to learn history from separate curriculums or books if we're religious or non-religious. Maybe it's possible to learn the same history, do the same exams, have the same teachers.
Oh, I guess you're not familiar with the Israeli reality. Have you heard of the word hadata? Hadata. Everything you say about religion, about Hashem, about mitzvot observance becomes hadata.
But maybe just history. I don't know.
No, but history, the way you read history, I think maybe it's the most important thing. I mean, do you see Hashem's hand in this generation? Do you see us moving forward redemption? Do you see kibbutz galuyot in this generation? Or you that just it's something sometimes you're not even allowed to say it in certain places, or it's considered too dati. So because today everything you say is very gentle, very delicate. So it's not so you're really optimistic if you think you can teach a Torani dati kid. It's the same thing you teach a Chiloni kid. It's not the same.
Enough. I rested my case in 10 seconds, which says a lot about me.
But I want to discuss the biggest stream in Israel, the Masorti stream, the traditional stream. They send their kids to both places. I mean, some of the teachers that are listening to us, they understand what you said. I mean, the school is the T, but still the family. I mean, I don't know about the percentage, the numbers, the statistics, but there's a large amount of Talmidim here in Israel. The parents are not the T, they wanted the T school. So I guess you have, out of your experience, what to tell the teachers that deal with those students.
So for those teachers who are lucky enough to welcome those students into school, I think that we need to try as much as possible, and that this was what I referred to beforehand, gray areas. If we can't create common denominators, by the way, maybe for maths we can.
Yeah, definitely. By the way, while I'm speaking, my daughter here is listening. She said, "Yeah, some of the chapters in history we do learn the same thing." The question is about how do you see it as a commentator? How do you explain history? But definitely the basic facts, the numbers, the dates, geography, you can definitely learn the same books. Maybe I was wrong, and there are books that are the same books. But I think you understand what I said. But anyway, please continue. Yeah.
So with regards to creating gray areas, is we need to learn halakha. There's no question about it. Observance needs to be taught, and that needs to happen in school. But wherever possible and whenever possible, focus and emphasize positivity. Focus and emphasize halachot which are to do with positive actions rather than the negative prohibitions. Now, this may not apply to a head teacher of a religious school who has all children religious in their school, but if you are applying yourselves to traditional children in the school and traditional families in the school, focusing on the halachot of netilat yadayim, of kiddush, of tefillah, of kriyah b'torah, focusing on the positives and enabling more and more opportunities for positive engagement, that is what really creates a difference and creates an environment where everyone feels comfortable, because it's a clash and it's not going to contradict what parents are doing at home. Then you also need to focus on observance. I understand that, I accept that, but the emphasis should be on positive actions.
Do you have examples of success of kids that became more engaged, more active?
Sorry about that.
No problem. You're a busy person. I was asking, do you have examples of success, examples of kids that became more involved, more engaged?
I do have many examples of children who have become more involved and engaged, but I don't have examples of children who said, right, I'm now going to go to a yeshiva, or I'm now going to go to join a different school or to join a different sector in Israel. But in involvement and engagement, absolutely. We are about to go away for Shabbat. 97 children are coming with us on this trip, plus the children who are coming from Manchester. Of these 97 children, I genuinely don't know the statistic, but I can give you an estimate, and the estimate is that 90% of them wouldn't necessarily keep the traditional way at home. Nevertheless, all these children are going to come to Shabbat knowing that they're going to love Shabbat, learn about Shabbat, engage in Shabbat, live a full Shabbat, sing Zmirot, enjoy the meals, prepare Divrei Torah. That, for me, is Jewish engagement. And that is a sign of success. If I see a child who, when we go away for Shabbat, saying, this is not for me, I'm leaving this for the religious chevra, that's my failure. My success is to see them fully engaged when they have the opportunity. And that I see a lot of, Baruch Hashem.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, about your experience. You were born in London, I guess?
Yes, I was born in London. I've been between London and Israel a lot. I studied university in the UK, in Leeds University, and qualified as a teacher in the Institute of Education in London. But I was here in Israel for many years, learned in Yeshivat Hesder in Karnei Shomron. That's where I met my dear wife before returning to the UK, served in the army in the Totchanim. I speak a good Hebrew, but not as good as the English, so I prefer being interviewed in English if it's okay. And I also very privileged to have a connection through King Solomon's School to Cambridge International, and having the ability to give children the option and the opportunity of reading, writing, and speaking in English. And it's something maybe we can focus on today, because there are opportunities there for all our head teachers, not just...
That's important. So tell us about practical ways of, what can you do what do you do in your classrooms, and how can people maybe also take some ideas?
So I'll say from the outset that I am genuinely happy to help, and I will give you today, my contact details. Call upon me, and I'm happy to help with the things I'm about.
Are you sure? Do you know what is nudnik? Do you want us to be nudnikim?
This is what will make a difference to Chemed and to children's future.
Okay. So listen, you're invited to be in touch with Kobi and get more information. But okay, please start here.
Thank you. So Cambridge International has 11,000 schools worldwide. So what I'm telling you about today isn't unique for King Solomon's School. It can be applied in any school. Cambridge International schools have 2 hours of English every day. During those 2 hours of English, children are focusing on reading, on writing, and on comprehension, speaking, and listening. Now, the earlier the program starts, the better. If you have a nursery, a Gan Yeladim in your school, you can start from the Gan. If you don't, and your school starts from Kita Aleph, definitely start from Kita Aleph. Okay. If you're going to tell me I can't give 2 hours of English in Kita Aleph a day, that's fine. Maybe you can give half an hour or 20 minutes. The more you can give, the better. Think about what you can do. Think about what you can engage in. The next point I'm going to make is find someone in your school who can speak and understand a good English. And if you don't have such a person, get in touch, because I have wonderful, young, vibrant, and experienced volunteers who have possibly been working for Tribe or for Bnei Akiva or for other youth organizations in the UK, who would love to come to Israel for a year to help. And there would be a huge value added for your school. I'll also mention now that Shirut Leumi is offering girls from England to come and serve here in Israel. It is possible. And I know some of you will be surprised saying Shirut Leumi is only for Israelis. It is possible now, and this is new, to do Shirut Leumi here in Israel, also coming from abroad. So you can bring into your school someone who's English speaking, someone who is engaging with the children in English, and this person would give children the opportunity to engage on different topics. It's not grammar that they're going to be learning. That's not the focus. The focus is engaging in English, speaking in English, having the conversations, having the opportunity to read books, and to do something they're passionate about. It could be about sports, It could be about global warming. And here I'm coming to the next point. You don't need a huge budget to create an English library. You can create a nice English library in your school with 300 or 400 books of different topics. Let children read in English, let them engage in English, and then let them come back and speak to the appointed teacher in English about what they have learned. If you can't do this in lessons, as we do in King Solomon's School, do it at lunchtime, do it at break time, create lunch times, maybe an hour after school. That engagement in English is going to make a huge, huge difference. And finally, the last point you can do after having someone in school who speaks English, coordinating their Cambridge program, having a library in the school, you could possibly start a Cambridge after school club. Now, before you throw out at me, I can't do after school clubs, I have no money for it, you may consider being part of the Cambridge International family, and there is some funding available from the UK for schools who want to engage in the program for children who are not speaking English. If you an area which is an area of deprivation, meaning children who may not have the same opportunities in life, it may even be a little bit easier for you to create that club after school and to have children learning in English for 1 hour on a variety of topics. The club, once again, doesn't need to be English club. It can be a club doing other things in English, and that is the best way for children to acquire a language, by being told a list of words, but by speaking the language.
Beautiful. We're speaking about sports, about politics, but we do it in English. We're not learning English right now.
Exactly.
Okay. But Cambridge program, that's the name?
Yes, Cambridge International.
Who, I mean, belongs to Cambridge University. Who is the head of the...
Yes.
What are you supposed to do in order to join? Or maybe you don't need the brand.
So Cambridge University Press is the publisher. They are the formal publisher, and that falls under Cambridge University. I'm authorized on behalf of Cambridge to act here in Israel. So you can get in touch with me if you'd like to hear more. And if you're worried about funding, there can be some help provided as well. I think this is probably one of the best opportunities schools in Israel have that they are not engaging in. Schools in Israel generally don't know about this opportunity.
Yeah, how come we never heard about it?
Well, because there's hundreds or even thousands of schools around the world who are jumping at this opportunity in places like India and Afghanistan, and you'll understand that they're not going to be writing to you saying, please come and join our program if they've got lots of people standing in line to get in.
Tell me from King Solomon about some examples of things you saw, kids that didn't speak and afterwards really managed to speak. I mean, tell me about some what's going on in the field, the real world.
So I'll touch upon now the growth of King Solomon's School. When we started the school, my understanding was that the school will serve those who have made Aliyah from the UK, the US, and other Anglo countries such as South Africa and Australia who want to come and learn in a different school in Israel. What I didn't know is that the local Israeli population would be excited about what we have to offer, both from a Jewish perspective and from an English international perspective, which are the two big value added of the school. And what happened 4.5 years ago was that a few Israeli families joined the school. And this happened in 2016-17. We had about 110 children who were mainly coming from abroad, and a few Israeli families decided to join. And the next few months opened floodgates where the school doubled itself in size. We opened a second form in every single class, all with Israelis who loved it. They told their friends, and it continued to support and develop the school. And what I learned was that local Israelis who want to join the school want a strong level of English. And what I'm seeing today is that those who had joined us at nursery or year 1, who are learning in English, different subjects, not only just for the sake of English, different subjects and engaging in English, today they have the ability to engage, read, write, and comprehend English on a level of a child in the UK minus 1 year. So the average Israeli child in King Solomon's School who started in year 1 on a UK assessment level would be 1 year behind, which is a huge achievement because these aren't children coming from an English-speaking background. And we call it the Cambridge Global Program. And we have a lot of materials to offer you on the Cambridge Global Program, which highlights key words, which helps with stepping stones to learn English. And these children who are on the Cambridge Global Program are able to then engage in the IB system as and when they reach secondary school. And I think you've heard a little bit about the IB system. And that is a wonderful opportunity because whatever they're going to do in life, they're going to need language skills.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. You know, I realized English is important sometimes as a spiritual tool. You know, we spent a year of shlichut in the States. World Mizrahi movement sent us to New York. And, you know, the level of my English suddenly became the level of my, I would say, of my ability to teach Judaism, to speak to other people about the most important things in life. I mean, I wish I knew Russian. Now when we have so many new immigrants coming from Ukraine and Russia, I think languages are also, it's not just something technical, it might be something really meaningful when we have kibbutz galuyot and Jews speaking so many languages. They're also, you can look at that, this reason also. And in a way, don't you think it might become the most important thing, more than values, more than other things you want to teach the kids, if English becomes the main purpose, the main goal of the school?
I think it's fair to say that if you were to speak to our parents, many of them send the children to school because of our English program and because of our creative curriculum. That's true to say, but here's, I suppose, one of my top tips. And you asked me to prepare 5 top tips. So here's my first top tip. If you want to make a difference, the difference that you will make to your community and to the future of your children is through high academic standards. And everything else can come together with it. Meaning that if you want to attract children to your school, start with highest academic standards. Start with offering extra curriculum. Start with offering Cambridge International English. And then once you have your children in the school, you have a captive audience of families and children. I don't think that many children came to join the school because of everything I was passionate about and spoke about earlier, meaning Jewish life and Jewish pride to the school. Yes, if you send out a survey, I suppose most will come because we're Cambridge International and have a good curriculum and good facilities and good teachers, and that's great. However, once they're in the school, you can make a difference. Apply academic standards, focus on curriculum.
Okay, that's 1 out of 5.
So, going on to my next 4 top tips, and these are general top tips, which I hope will help everyone. But that's what these are really the principles that guide me in education. So, as I said, the first being the high academic standards. The second is connect, care, and converse. Get to know your children and families informally as best as you possibly can. Create those opportunities in your school. The difference that it will make is significant, particularly with the older children. Once they know that you know them, they will care about what you have to offer. Remove that gap that the formal educational system doesn't enable you to pass or surpass for as long as you will be the teacher and they will be the pupils. And once you connect, care, and converse, and you listen to them, they are far more likely to listen to us and to follow our example.
Beautiful, yeah. Know them
that was number 2. Know them personally, indeed. This is my third. My third is the show must go on. We learned this during COVID. We learned this during, unfortunately, wars. We learned this when we had our personal challenges, each and every one of us in their own way. We got a difficult job, but we have the most fulfilling job on the face of this earth. Children's education is only one chance in life to fulfill. You cannot possibly bridge the gap later because those minutes, those hours, and those years of education may be able to then catch up academically. But in terms of the children's development, in terms of the opportunities the children will be missing, that is something we can never make up in terms of time. No matter what, and even if, keep the show on the road. Do everything you can to engage. And I'm not suggesting that we break rules. I'm not suggesting that we call children into school if we don't have to. but think creatively, no matter what and even if, how the show can go on, how we can continue developing and engaging. I saw some incredible things happening in Chemed. I don't remember the name of the school, but I learned this from you and I brought it into my school. It was the most incredible project. One of you taught me this before Hanukkah. I saw the poster and I did the same in King Solomon. It was an amazing project, creating a Hanukkah competition, but it had to be about green creating a green world, recycling products, and explaining how that will make a better world and make an impact on the environment. Just one example kept the children busy for weeks. Kept the teachers and the parents talking on Zoom constantly of how we're going to create this and how we're going to compete. The show must go on, no matter what and even if.
Beautiful. And wait a minute. That's the third, that high academic level, get to know them, show must go on. I'm writing it down.
You're writing it down. Number 4, let them lead. Maximize opportunities for the crucial development of children and teenagers to lead sessions. You all know, children from the age of year 5 or year 6 become very self-centered. This is a wonderful thing. They become self-centered because they're developing themselves, because they want to understand themselves better, because they want to develop an identity. When they are self-centered, we can do one of two things. We can create conflict or we can create connections. And I'm suggesting creating the connections mean that self-centered child who's only thinking about themselves has the opportunity, yes, to only think about what they think and what they want and share it with the world. Create opportunities for them to share with all the parents, with all the communities, to speak in front of people, to speak in class, to speak in assembly, to create, to lead, and to provide opportunities for them to develop themselves and for them to play a major part in the community. And every initiative they take on will be initiatives that they may succeed and may fail in, but those are initiatives that will build their personalities.
Beautiful. You know, we spoke here earlier with Hani Bigon, the head teacher of Bet Yaakov in Sao Paulo, 1,000 students, and she said they have ambassadors. They get missions as ambassadors to do things in the name of the school. Sometimes it's outside of the school, but as you said, maybe the best gift you can give someone is not a gift, it's responsibility. Making them, you know, he's not a passive student. We don't do everything for him. He's active and we give him things to do, and maybe that's the best thing you can give him.
100%. Some children made us so proud during the COVID crisis of what they did for the country, what they did for their neighborhoods, what they did for people around them. Let's keep that going. Let's not stop here. Take that opportunity and bring it into school. There is so much that they can do. There is not a child in the school who doesn't have what to contribute and what to give to the environment and to the world around them. Last is the punchline. It is the most important one, most crucial in education. And I can't say it in my own words. And I apologize if I become emotional. It is from Mori v'Rabbi, Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. And he says the following, with the title of Love It. If we truly wish to hand our legacy to our children, we must teach them to love it. The most important element of any educational system is not learning facts or skills, but learning what to love. What we love, we inherit. What we fail to love, we lose. Those are the words of Rabbi Jonathan Sachs. If we love what we do, if we love what we stand for, if we love the values of Torah that we uphold, we are likely to have our next generation loving Torah, mitzvot, Am Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael even more.
Beautiful, beautiful. Kobi, I think you definitely love what you do, and we can definitely tell and see how inspiring it is. So thank you very much for everything you do here in Israel and in London. Thank you for maybe being available for all the teachers. I guess they will want to hear about the Cambridge International, about that project and that opportunity to teach English in a high level. Thank you for your 5 tips. I'll definitely, I wrote it down, and I hope we will take it with us and remember it. And toda rabba. Thank you. אולי כמה מילים לסיום בעברית, כי בסוף אתה גם ישראלי.
בשמחה רבה. אם אנחנו נזכה להתמיד ולאהוב את הערכים שאותם אנחנו מלמדים, אנחנו נזכה גם להאהיב את אותם ערכים על תלמידינו.
אמן, מקסים. תודה רבה, הרב אברהימוב. תודה לעמותת רוץ שמלווה את כל סדרת הפודקאסטים המשדרים האלה, 5 המנהלים, אנשי החינוך ששיתפו אותנו בתובנות נפלאות. אני לא מחנכת, אבל אפילו כאימא וכאדם, אני חושבת שהייתה פה חשיבה אמיתית על חינוך של עצמנו ושל הדור הבא. תודה לכל המארגנים והתורכים מאחורי הקלעים, ולהתראות, בשורות טובות, בהצלחה בכיתות שלכם ובשאר החזיתות של החיים, בהצלחה, להתראות, שלום שלום. תודה רבה.